Are parents really the problem in education so that educators and teachers can't do their work? I say no. My name is Marion Hopfgartner. I'm an educationalist. I'm an author of 7 books in the area of early childhood education. I'm the founder of TLI Pedagogics, an early childhood curriculum that we use in our schools. Today, I'd like to thank Anthony from, actually he's an Australian at the present moment working in India, and he sent us a question. And as I said already, I find it great to have questions. I think it's the sharing of really different views is what brings education forward. So he, for example, writes, "Dear Marion, your presentation, How to Raise Strong Children, is most impressive and practical. I'm a CEO of a group of international schools in India, and I get very frustrated trying to change some things. Parents are biggest stumbling blocks. I believe in making children empowered, strong, resilient, and happy. I also want them to believe and practice equity and excellence with the right attitude so that they can achieve most anything in this changing world. Can you help me?" That is a very good question. And as I said already in the intro, it's not so much about the parents. It's right that we struggle as educators and teachers sometimes with the parents, but let's start a little earlier. Anthony is telling me that he works in a school in India. So it's also a question, number one, where are you? In what country? There's so many different curriculums, different styles, approaches. So what we need to understand, for example, as far as I can see India, and the Indian educators surely can say this well better also, is that India is at the present moment a rising country. And many people inside of India see the same. And so parents, of course, want that. What our parents wanted, or the parents of one generation back, here in the Western European countries, US, Europe, Australia, they knew that if their children study hard, they can make it. So of course parents at the present moment in some countries, but not just India, also in other countries, have a focus on studies, on academics, and on getting the things right for the children. They want to set their children up for success. Also think about it. There's so much talk about panicking about that AI will take over everything. So if you have only AI, of course your child needs to become an engineer because that's what is needed. And if you're one of the best, you will be needed. So if jobs fall out, you need to be one of the best. So it's very competitive, the thinking of parents. Secondly, it's also like this, that many people, even in Western European countries, in Australia, in US, the parents, many parents, are still very focused on the results because this is the way how they can measure the development of their child and what's actually going on. They don't have really other tools to measure if a child can live the potential. But what does this mean? Will the child be able to find a job? Will the child be able to live in this world? There's not so much experience in this area, so we have to understand there's a lot of uncertainty. And while parents love these new modern concepts and agree to it, still they're very insecure because their old ways of measuring it by grades and by results and by tests disappear in this system. So they are a little bit insecure. So let's understand the basis we're working on. Then I'd like to take you on a different road. And that is now the question of what kind of school are you in? And Anthony, as far as I can see, is not in a public school. So it means he's in a private school. In a private school, especially in India, you have shareholders, you have investors, you have a structure, you have a clear structure that actually also asks you for making profit. So the first thing, if you take on the role as a principal, as an educator and a teacher in such a teaching environment, you need to ask yourself, is everyone in alignment with the philosophy and the curriculum? So is the principal in alignment? Is the head of the principal in alignment? Are the shareholders in alignment? Do they really want it? Or is it just a good selling point to say all of that? Because then many parents want it, bring their children there. The next question is, are they really able to do what needs to be done? Do you have the stuff available that you need to do it? Another question I'd like to bring in is now about the parents, and I found 4 points that I think that need to change if you work in such a wonderful curriculum or concept like Anthony does, where they really focus a lot on working with the children to make them strong, to help them, empower them, see that their uniqueness also is pointed out and put forward. So I'd like to give you 4 tips on maybe how to deal with the parents. Number 1, the first question is, are the parents in alignment with the curriculum? Number 1, do they know the curriculum? Do they understand the curriculum? What kind of measurements do we give to parents so that they also can follow what is really happening with their child? How does the child improve? What is it that that the uniqueness or this empowerment, this strengthening of the child really brings to the child? And you need to bring it in measurements, and you need to show them also some kind of results, even though it's in a different way. And I know this is very hard in modern educational systems. Secondly, it's very important to educate parents. Parents know that they want this modern thing that everyone speaks about, that the children should live their full potential. They know that because they want the best for the child. But what does this really mean? If the old systems are not in place, what does this really mean? How does the brain of a child work? How do children develop? Why is it not a problem if children don't start reading and writing at the age of 4? Why will they still make it in life? Do they have all of this information? So it needs a lot of education to the parents, because even if they want it, doesn't mean that they understand it. Number 3, you need a team of coaches, supervisors, and mentors. Not just for the children, but also for the parents. You have to take them along. There need to be regular talks with the parents, a lot of explanations, a lot of sitting, showing them, see, this and this and this is what your child accomplished, this is what they are already able to do, this is where they are concentrating and focusing on. You need to ask questions, you need to answer questions. Very important. There has to be a lot of communication between parents and the educators or the coaches who do that. It's really like a coaching to make them understand what's happening in this system. Number 3, it's important, I already pointed it out in the beginning, to use the language of the parents. Parents understand the language of grades, they understand the language of tests, they understand the language of getting subjects finished, they understand the language of there's a schedule, like you have a yearly schedule, this and these topics you need to cover. They see these topics are covered, my child knows all of that. So when you change now your language completely, they are not really understanding anymore what you try to convey to them. So think about how you can bring your modern curriculum in the language for parents to understand. You can give them a lot of security and assistance on the way. And the very important question that actually is one of the points where we can see if it's about numbers, getting more children in, or if it's really about the curriculum is, do you as a school with a curriculum, do you have the same targets as the parents? Because if your target is to allow the child to develop and to create a unique experience, become very strong as a personality, then it could be that the child, let's say, ends up as a wonderful gardener or farmer, loving the farming, figuring out that is the unique thing that I want to do. This is what I'm really good at. I love to be in nature. I love to be connected with nature. I love to work with plants. But maybe the parents think, oh, that is not an appropriate job for my child. I want my child to become an architect. I want my child to become an engineer. I want my child to become a doctor. So you need to see if your curriculum is able to meet the targets of the parents, and if the parents are okay with the results your curriculum can reach. That's the question. So this is why it's really important to have a lot of communication. So one is to show, of course, what you're doing, but number two is you need to take the parents along. There hasn't been a time in this world when parents were so insecure as they are today. They're really insecure because all of these new changing environments in school also, this is a risk for parents they are taking, and they trust you enough to take that risk and put the children in that school hoping for the best outcome. But the question is, what is the perception? What is that what you really want? What is that what you really think? You need to start to understand your parents, each and every one. What are your fears? What are your targets? What is the outcome that you want from education? Are you ready to accept the fact that your child might not start reading till the age of 7 or 8 because he or she is simply not interested, but becomes great in physics or math or in constructing something? Is this something you can live with? Can you go with us on that? So I think during the assessment center or admission times, how they are called in India, you really have to make assessment centers. You really have to put things in place. You have to straighten out the understanding of parents on modern curriculums, because modern curriculums, we know they can reach awesome things. They really can help children to become the utmost best version of themselves and be super successful. But it doesn't mean that each child has the desire inside to become a super successful lawyer or architect or a doctor. So this is why it is really important also to figure out what is the curriculum and what can be also an outcome, and how does it support the child, and how does it also support the family. And that is something that is maybe particularly right for India, because in India the family is very involved in the child's future. They want the children really to become successful, to join their family businesses, to have a set life. Yes, it should be actually set at the beginning already. And parents are doing so many things to arrange the things around. And it can be a burden, it can be a blessing for a child. So there are two sides of this coin, and it's neither right or wrong. Anyhow, we are not dividing in right or wrong, and that would be the wrong thing to do as a school or an educator, because it's just a question, are these parents, is this child well taken care in my school? And if that is the case, then it's welcomed and it will work awesomely and the result will be perfect. So I think for you or for educators and teachers, it really becomes time to look into, are you in the right school? Are you in the right system? Are you doing the right thing? And it's not about if you support people who are in a public school or in a private school. It's really about, what is the structure in the school, and can I align with the structure? Is this something where I really feel home? I feel supported as a teacher, as a principal, by my hierarchy of bosses, chiefs, leaders, whatever you call them, and by the parents. Is this the environment I have? If that is not, the question asking would be, can you create it? You know, as a principal, you're the principal or CEO even of that school, you have a lot of influence. So can you create this surrounding? And what kind of factors would you need to bring in to create it? For example, an assessment center. An assessment center with very clear questions. Coaches, mentors for the parents who go back all the time to this assessment, to this, whatever you call it, where they check multiple choice. Are you okay with this? Are you okay with this? Are you okay with this? And then you need to go back and say, okay, at that time you said you're okay with this. Why not now? What is happening? What do you need? And so on. So a lot of support. You need to create a support structure. And again, I love situations which are not easy. And we are in such a process at the moment. We are in a process where we see that education needs really an upgrade, a change, a transformation, so that it's more appropriate to the way how children learn, the neurobiology, the neuroscience. We have everything about the brain, how children learn. So it's not really that we are 100 years backwards where we didn't understand the ways of learning. But it doesn't mean that the society grew with this science, and now the implementation will need a good language. It will need the right language. We need to put it in the proper terms to really reach the right people. So I hope, Anthony, this is helpful for you. You pointed a second point also out, which I surely will respond to you in your email that you sent to our office. So for others who watch this video and have similar questions, other questions, I really inspire you. Ask questions. Questions are here to be answered. Questions are here to make us think, to get different understanding and viewpoints from different kind of peoples. And I'm one of many educationalists. I'm giving you my viewpoint, my perspective, my ideas, my way of thinking on different structures. There are many others out where you get maybe different ways of understanding, and that is actually what democracy and life is about, that we get a lot of different opinions from different people. So in that regard, please share this video if you think it's interesting for other people. Subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell if you feel that you benefit from this content, so you always know when we put something out. And do not hesitate to ask questions, send us emails. You will get a response for sure. I wish you a beautiful day, and I'm personally looking forward to go back to India. I love India. I'm living here in Europe. My husband is Indian, so we also travel to India a lot. I live in India part of the year, and I really love this diversity in India and this challenge between the two worlds. And I'm so much looking forward to go there again, because with this corona pandemic situation at the moment, the travel is really not easy. So I'm very much looking forward to go back and to really be with the people, because there's such a different spirit also, like here in Europe at the present moment. So Anthony, maybe we meet in India. I will be looking forward to that, and I wish you all the best. I know you can put it in place. I think it's just a restructuring that you need to do, not a lot of things. And I wish you all the best to get it done, and please do not hesitate to ask more questions. I wish you all the best. All people out there, all educators, all teachers, all parents, I wish you a wonderful time. Hear you soon.